Hi everyone, my name is Dawson and I run a dental marketing company that helps dentists increase their Invisalign and implant production by $20,000 to $50,000 in 90 days. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to book a call with me below. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. In this video, I wanted to document our process on how we get dentists $20,000 to $50,000 in Invisalign production. Wanted to break down this entire system, really show you the details into what we do in order to produce those results. Now, I worked with dentists across the US. I worked with many dentists that own 6+ practices. They get a new one every couple months, wanted to pilot all together and sell it to a private equity fund. We also work with dentists that just want 1 or 2 offices, maximizing that to a couple $1 million in revenue a year. So seen every type of scenario when it comes to growing Invisalign production. Again, I'm going to walk you through step-by-step what we do. Some caveats before we start here. Typical Invisalign production obviously varies depending on what your overhead is. However, we can expect about $5,000 per case. If we were to bring in 4 cases, obviously $20,000 in revenue. Brought in 10 cases, $50,000 in revenue. That's where we get those numbers. And if we're to do this in a 3-month time frame, including onboarding, you begin to get a sense of how we're coming up with math here. Now, the reason why this works is we're experts in positioning the head dentist as the authority figure in Invisalign. I'll get to that in a little bit. Now, hitting these numbers are really realistic. If you're interested in how we do things a little bit more behind the scenes, feel free to schedule a call below. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Now, this is our system from a bird's eye view. As you can see, very simple process. We have Facebook ads, a messenger bot. That's where we get the lead. And then from there, that's when we convert the lead into an appointment or consult. Now, diving into this a little bit deeper, the reason this system works is really the magic is here in the messenger bot. This is how we're able to get lower cost per impressions on Facebook, lowering the ad spend. And anytime we're able to make a change that's significant on the front end of this funnel, that's really where we get these results. So have the messenger bot here, Facebook ads, the lead itself. One of the things that we do is we do a great job at qualifying these leads. Now, these aren't, they call them 3-star leads. 3-star leads are just name, email, and phone number. These are 5-star leads because we also have financial information. We're able to qualify them through this messenger bot process, and we're able to find out who the care is for as well. So we have more details making these a 5-star lead. This is also a great place right inside the messenger bot to mention if you don't want patients who don't have a source of income, or also patients that have either Medicaid or Medicare, something that you don't take at the office. You can stream them out right here so they don't become leads and we end up not wasting our time or their time on that. That's another good perk of that. One thing I want to mention is the Facebook ad. If your Facebook ad is off, if you're showing stock photos, we're really going to jump into this. It's going to mess up the entire process. If no one's clicking on your ad, if you're not getting any clicks, any impressions, you're really going to have troubles bringing people in for their appointment. So just really want to emphasize anything we change on the front end, anything we can do here is going to have exponential effects, exponential results on the back end. One thing I want to say about these leads is from converting the lead into an appointment, obviously we have to get them on the phone and talk to them. That's where we really set expectations for the appointment. We answer any last minute concerns and really increase the show rate. Just by being personable, saying, hey, this is Dawson from so-and-so. Saw you scheduled an appointment for this time. Really excited to see you. Come and find me, ask for my name at the office. I really want to meet you. Adding a personal touch to this process here, really not just making it about getting them on the calendar, but making it more about establishing that rapport, establishing that connection, is really when you're going to see your show rates increase. So that's a little bit about the entire system. Let's dial into each one of these and really see how we are able to work our magic. So the first part. So like I said at the beginning, any changes you make to the front end are going to have a significant effect on the back end. So we really focus on our creative portion of the Facebook ad. The creative is just the picture or the video that you attached to your ad. Different things we're doing here is one, we're creating what's called liking bias. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you know I am a big fan of Dr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote this incredible book about the principles in business that you can really draw from psychology. And so one of the biggest things that he talks about in that book is something called liking bias. So anytime we have the opportunity to get personable with a patient or get them to know, like, or trust us, you want to take advantage of that opportunity. That first impression, that first gut instinct from someone is really going to make or break this process. So that's one thing that we're going to dive into here in a second. Another aspect here on the Facebook side is we also go after what's called the authority bias. So the way that we set up our ads are to educate the patient, really to show them what it looks like, what their consult's going to be like inside the office. So by educating the patient, we're coming from a place of authority. That's also one of the principles that Dr. Robert Cialdini talks about authority bias. Now, you being a dentist or orthodontist, you're going to have that authority bias innately, naturally, but really playing to it on the side of the educational aspect is going to elicit that even more. Another part I want to mention on this Facebook ad on the front end is really having a strong hook point. Now, again, if you've been following my channel, I also talked about Brendan Kane. He is Taylor Swift's social media manager. He's worked at MTV, Paramount Pictures doing their marketing. And he says, in this new day and age on social media, you only have about 3 seconds to really capture someone's attention. Think about Facebook. Your ad's going to be next to people's engagement photos, cute pictures of dogs or cats. It's going to be competitive in terms of getting someone's attention. I would encourage you, next time you are in public, really pay attention to how fast someone is scrolling. You only have a split second to get someone to stay in focus on your post. Best thing you can do in that aspect, that process of hooking them in is called a hook point. Now, this hook point will ultimately get the patient to pay attention to your ad, to really focus in on, to see what you're saying. It's going to buy you an extra couple seconds for them to read through the caption that you put and really find out if they want to learn more about it. The best hook points right now when it comes to Invisalign are any type of educational content, as I said before, meaning candid versus getting clear aligners from a dentist or top 5 questions to ask your Invisalign provider. These questions are going to serve as the hook point to get your patient to stop scrolling. Now, on your ad, I encourage every dentist to offer some type of incentive, whether it be an Amazon gift card or AirPods to like or share the post. This is going to produce reciprocity. Anytime you are able to offer something to someone and it gives them a feeling of, oh, I want to give back, because people are, that's just naturally built into their system. And even on the aspect of educating them, when you give that much value, when you're giving them all that information on what to look for in the purchasing process, they have that urge to want to give back to you. So that's another psychological principle at work here. All right, before we go any further on the Facebook ad process, let's go to Business Manager and really see what we're talking about. All right, so we are inside of Facebook Business Manager. This is where you create and set up all the ads that you're going to run for your practice. As you can see, I created this demo account here. I want to show you thought process and the idea behind creating ads. So if you notice, we have 3 tabs here. We have campaign, ad set, and then over here, really tiny in the corner of the screen, is ads. So campaign, this houses all the ad sets. Ad sets hold all the ads. So it's kind of like if you know those Russian dolls, the biggest doll is going to be the campaign, the smallest doll is going to be ads. That's an interesting analogy. But anyway, for campaigns, this is where we pick the objective for Facebook. So let's just create a new campaign. As you can see, they're broken down into a couple key categories. We have awareness, consideration, and conversion. So the more to the right-hand side we pick, the more poignant and the more accurate the Facebook ads, only targeted to a couple people. They really want to hone in to get someone to take an action. Whereas brand awareness, you're basically telling Facebook, show this video or show this ad to as many people as possible. We really want the most amount of people to see it. So for running ads, in this case for Invisalign, Because we're running traffic, that just means where you're going to send people. Because we're sending people to a messenger chatbot, we're going to go ahead and click messages. I'm going to hit continue. Now this here is just more information that we can add at the campaign level. Don't need to change too much. You can name, obviously we want to name it something that we remember. We can call it an Invisalign campaign or such and such, but really not too many details to know here. One thing you can do, if you're concerned about spending too much money on Facebook, you can add a spend limit at the campaign level. You can also add it at the account level just to make sure if you have something running in the background, it doesn't go over a certain amount. So now that we created the campaign, let's move on to the ad set. All right, so this is where we identify who we want Facebook to show our ads to. A couple things to keep in mind here. Obviously, we're sending traffic to a messenger bot, so we're going to leave that as is. Biggest thing to note, don't have enough time to scrape through all these details. In this video, I have detailed training that I made should be a couple weeks ago that you guys can find where I really dive into this section. But we can set daily budget. And this right here, audience, this is why people advertise on Facebook. The amount of data, the amount of information Facebook has, the way we're able to show ads to people, it's insane. It's maybe a little scary to some, but this is where we're going to put in our information for who Facebook should target. Now, obviously for locations, because we're doing local-based marketing for your practice, doesn't need to be too sophisticated in terms of location as well as detailed targeting. Detailed targeting, this is where we want to tell Facebook if the people we're showing ads to have any particular interest. In our case, because we're doing local-based marketing, because we're going to set a mile radius around the practice, we don't need to get specific in this area. If an advertiser says they're doing detail marketing for local marketing business, they just want to sound fancy. That's honestly why they're doing that. Don't know if I should have said that. Anyway, so for genders, for Invisalign and age, it's really going to depend on your demographic. Now, the industry standard for dental marketing for just about any aspect is women from the ages of 30 to 60. However, with Invisalign, that's going to obviously drop the age down a little bit. And honestly, the best thing to do is look at your own experience, look at your own market, and really decide what that demographic is going to be. In terms of audience size, if you can see over here, we have an estimated audience size. A couple things to note, you want to keep the audience size in the ballpark of 80,000 people to 150,000 people. There's different people saying different things. This is going to fluctuate. One thing to keep in mind is the way Facebook runs ads is it's like an auction. So we do have a little bit of supply and demand going on. The more constrictions you give Facebook, the higher cost per impression you're going to be charged because naturally there's less people to show the ads to. The bigger the audience, the lower that cost per impression is going to be. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you're making your audience size. Another thing here, talk about placements. This is just telling Facebook, hey, I want to only be shown on Facebook. I only want to be shown on Instagram. Again, we have the supply and demand effect here. If we limit the amount of options that we give Facebook, naturally we're going to be charged a higher cost per impression. So I would encourage you to leave it at automatic placements. All right, now that we have covered the ad set portion, let's move on to the ads. Alrighty, so this is where the rubber meets the road. Also, Facebook loves to give any errors. If you see these red triangles, don't be concerned. It just means that you haven't put in that information yet. You'll see that a lot if you're doing this yourself. Anyway, this is where we put in the information for the page we're running. Pretty simple. And this is arguably, as long as you're using common sense in the ad set, this is the most important thing that we can focus on. Everything that I mentioned from the slide before, just having Facebook going to the messenger bot, any changes we make here are going to be incredibly significant, very important. Feel free to go back to when I talked about Brendan Kane in this video. But like I was saying, this is Pareto's principle. This is the most important aspect that's going to affect everything else. One important thing to keep in mind is to position Invisalign as the key to someone's confidence. Another key part about the ads themselves, this is really the chance for the patient to really understand and really to know, like, and trust you. So just remember if you're recording the video or posting a picture, keep that in the back of your mind is your ultimate goal is to establish that connection with the patient. Another key thing is to make these pictures and videos as personal as possible. Do not use any type of stock photos or stock videos. It's going to hurt you in the long run. Again, you want to provide as much value to the patient as possible, answering any questions that they would have in the buying process. That's going to build that trust that we talked about. So now that we talked about Facebook ads, let's move on to the Messenger bot. So now that someone has clicked on the ad, they go to our Messenger bot. So in the Messenger bot, the whole idea, the whole goal is to qualify this potential lead. We want to find out who the treatment's for, want to get them financially qualified, see if they're okay with the monthly payments as well as the down payments of Invisalign, or if they want to pay in full. I really find out if they're going to be a good fit. Another thing to do is to set expectations for the appointment. We want to get them familiar with what that process is going to look like. Then at the very end, we're going to, if they make it through that flow, if they're able to, didn't come up with any red flags, then we're able to ask for their information regarding their phone number as well as email. Again, you can customize this bot to segment people out that either have Medicare or Medicaid, something that you don't want, or an insurance that you don't accept at your office, or any other type of question. Maybe you found out that obviously if someone doesn't have a job, they want to be a good fit for Invisalign just because of the finances there. You can also segment people out of the ManyChat flow for that reason. Now, another thing we do is manage and really follow up on the conversations we're having with people. It's important when you're making your flow to really find out where people are dropping off at and why. If there is a question or something's worded kind of funny, you might find some people are opting out or just not responding to the bot at that process. That's a good chance for you to go back, really figure out, okay, what's something I can say that's going to, or what's a more clear way I can say this to get someone to continue the ManyChat flow. So once they become a lead, that's when they enter our system. So we talked about Facebook ads, we talked about the Messenger bot. Now let's talk about our CRM system and our dashboard. All right, so this is a dummy dashboard of our CRM system. So anyone that becomes a lead in Messenger, anyone that submits their name as well as their phone number is automatically going to be placed onto this dashboard. So this dashboard is going to show the total amount of leads in the pipeline, the estimated pipeline value, as well as a snapshot of what the pipeline looks like. So obviously, this is a example campaign, so we just have one dummy test lead in here, but just wanted to show you the aspects of this. A cool feature here is looking at these different tabs. Right off the bat, we're able to see how many people opted in, how many of them that we followed up with, how many of them scheduled an appointment, came in for the consult. All that information is going to be displayed on this that you can log into anytime at 24/7. This is our opportunities board. This is where we're able to see how many leads came into the practice, what stage they're at. Is Amy, have we confirmed her appointment? Did she start treatment yet? Did she not? All that information. So we're gonna be able to find that as soon as we click on this tab. So when a lead is submitted, they automatically go into the opt-in column here. This is a sign for your team to go ahead and follow up with them over the phone. I want to give some tips on how to do that. So in order for your front desk to call to schedule an appointment or to remind them of an appointment, we can directly click on this tab here and find out what Amy's information is. Now, obviously, this is going to have more conversation with automated text messages, responses from Amy on what she said back. And the nice part about this is it's also going to show any calls. The software we use records all calls and has them displayed in this conversations tab here. This is great for training staff, listening to how they're communicating with the patient. This provides a lot of coaching opportunities. Now, when you call one of these leads for the first time, you want to remember the goal is to schedule the appointment. There's going to be maybe some questions regarding treatment, which you can answer, but ultimately the goal, especially with Invisalign, we don't know if they need what the treatment's going to look like. Not everyone is fit for Invisalign. So the best option for them would be to come in for that initial consultation. Make sure you remind your front desk when you're calling these new leads to smile, to project warmth, to speak in a friendly tone, anything that they can do to make the patient feel more comfortable. Believe it or not, this goes a long way, especially when you're talking to someone that you've never met before. It's important not to chew any gum while you're on the call and to have the next available appointment in mind while you call them. Now, through the ManyChat sequence, they will have given us their preferred day as well as preferred time to get scheduled. Now, our goal is to find the best time that works for the office. Another key is to make sure you give the patient your undivided attention. Make sure you have the lead training or the lead following up scheduled into the system on a day-to-day basis. For some people, they miss a day and someone doesn't get followed up with, and that makes it more difficult to bring those leads in. So I would encourage anyone that is doing this with another company, or you're just starting, you're doing this yourself, really make sure you follow up with the leads as soon as possible. A big key here is this is a team effort. Having the leads come in a consistent manner, as well as having an effective follow-up, is going to be the determination on if you're successful with running ads on Facebook or not. Ultimately, you don't want leads at the end of the day. You want to have appointments. So this is a game changer. So that is an overview of the entire system. Let's go over some principles and common pitfalls that I've seen people fall into. The most important thing is to have clear, designated tasks for each parties. If you're running this for your office yourself, you really want to make sure that the front desk is on board, they're aware, and they know what's going on the back end. Any breakdown in communication between the advertiser and the practice is not going to be good for anyone. There's this myth going around that Facebook ads is a magic pill that maybe if they do it and cross their fingers and kind of wish it's going to fix everything in their practice. And unfortunately, that is not the truth. In fact, running ads, having traffic come to your website or having traffic come to your office directly, it's going to expose many inefficiencies that are already in place. The great thing about this is this will encourage you to really fortify your front desk, which will help you on just about any front. Now, when you get more volume from other sources, you have the system and you have the skills in place to maximize that traffic. Another pitfall that I see is having a poor creative. Like I said, if this part is off, if we close the top end of the funnel, then no one's going to be able to get into. It's going to make it extremely difficult to have this be successful. So make sure you have compelling, solid, fun, inviting, creative, which is the video and picture on the Facebook ad. Now let's go over some keys to long-term success. Like I said before, with this process, it's easy to find bottlenecks in your system. Are you getting enough clicks to your messenger bot? Are you getting enough leads, but are they not converting to appointments? Having those numbers, having that idea of how the process works, of how the pipeline is formed, is going to help you identify problems. Another thing to keep in mind is the value ladder. Now, the reason that this works is your cost per acquisition, your cost per patient is going to decrease as they refer other people. A lot of dentists think my cost per patient is going to be $400 every single time from Facebook, and maybe they get a little concerned about that. But as soon as one of those patients refers their friends or their family, it's going to cut the cost per lead almost in half. And so keep that in mind as you're running ads. It's not as expensive on the lead aspect or just looking at it from the business manager aspect when you have people that are being referred. Also, a great thing that's going on is understanding the value ladder. If you bring someone in for a service such as Invisalign, we're basically starting at the very top of the value ladder. Usually it's start with a free teeth whitening and then get them to come on a routine cleaning, and then maybe you find out they need a crown, and then you kind of walk them up to Invisalign. If you start with Invisalign, that trust is already built, that connection is already built. So that dramatically increases the likelihood of that same patient also getting a root canal before they start Invisalign, or perhaps getting their routine cleanings from you anyway. So that's another thing to keep in mind in terms of the cost. Another key is posting to Facebook and Instagram. Doing this will lower your ad spend. Facebook, the way they have their algorithm set up is the more engagement you get naturally from your posts on Facebook, the lower your cost per impression is going to be, hence the lower you pay for advertising. Keep in mind to stay on top of posting regularly on your Instagram and Facebook pages. The last thing I want to mention is team effort. Make sure everyone is on board, from the advertiser to the dentist, the front desk. Everyone needs to work as one cohesive unit in order for this process to be successful. The last part I want to talk about is the Invisalign consult itself. What I would encourage you to do is map out your appointment. Really think and brainstorm, what are the different parts of the appointment, and am I keeping this patient engaged at every aspect? What I would encourage you to do is write down your current case acceptance rate and set a goal for what you want that rate to be in a month. Have review sessions after each consult with your team and your staff, talking about how the consult was going, and see if there's any dead spots or any part where you feel like you lost the patient. What I would encourage you to do is have a secret shopper, someone to come in to actually do the Invisalign consult and give you feedback on the entire process. That will dramatically increase your case acceptance rate because you can restructure the appointment to best fit the needs of the patient. The more training, the more attention you put on this appointment and the structure of it, the better results you're going to get. That concludes our video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Consider joining the Consulting with Dawson family by subscribing. And if you're interested in me implementing the system for your practice, if you want to learn more information, feel free to book a call below. Comment any questions that you have. And until next time, I'll see you later.